What the hell was that?
Does Slenderman exist? And have you ever heard stories of a friend who has seen the Monster of Loch Ness? There are myths, hoaxes, and legends everywhere in the world, and they come in all shapes and sizes. The world of video games is also full of mystery. Today, we'll look at 10 of the most famous myths in gaming, and some of them might even turn out to be true. It started in 1998 when Garrison Hearst broke his ankle after starring on the cover of Madden NFL 99. Ever since, many players who featured on the cover suffered an awful injury during that season. We don't know for sure, but 17 out of 20 players that have been featured on the Madden NFL cover suffered a serious injury during their season, and for several of the players, their season was cut short. Let's see how Antonio Brown will do this year as he's on the cover of Madden NFL 19. We're not drafting him in our fantasy team just to be sure, but this so-called curse sure seems to be real. Shenlong is supposedly a hidden character in Street Fighter 2, but it was a mistranslation of Shoryuken. As a result, one of Ryu's victory quotes became, "You must defeat Shenlong to stand a chance," which inspired an entire generation of gamers to search for this legendary boss. To make things worse, the magazine Electronic Gaming Monthly printed an April Fool's joke and told everybody that Shenlong could be unlocked by doing some insane things in the game. As a result, Mr. Long became the stuff of legends. The hoax had so much influence on Street Fighter that it inspired Capcom to create secret characters like Akuma and Gouken. If you were a kid in the 80s that played video games, there's a big chance you've been blowing on those old Nintendo cartridges. Sometimes when you slid these cartridges into a system, the game wouldn't load. Kids told each other that blowing into those cartridges would help, and therefore an entire generation of gamers did this. However, it's more likely that just trying it a few times would have the same result. To make things worse, blowing actually humidifies these cartridges, and there are small copper and nickel pieces that can oxidize, which is not something you want. Tomb Raider was a huge hit in the 90s, and the game quickly became the stuff of legends. Fighting dinosaurs, venturing through caves, shooting bad guys, and all this with the hottest chick in video games. Of course, teenage boys would let their fantasy go wild, and as a result, there was a legendary myth about a code that would remove Lara's clothes. This so-called nude code became one of the most wanted non-existing myths in gaming history. Fake codes circulated the early versions of the internet, but nothing worked. Until, of course, the mod community was tired of trying codes and decided to build a mod themselves.
Don't you think you've seen enough?
Even if you don't like Minecraft, you've got to admire the footprint it left on the gaming industry. With Herobrine, the game has one of the biggest hoaxes ever seen in gaming. It all started with this livestream, and it became one of the larger myths in the Minecraft community. More and more players stated to have seen the character, who was supposedly a digital copy of Marcus Person's dead brother. This can't be true because Notch has no brothers. The original creator already stated it was all an elaborate hoax. Herobrine still lives on as a legendary character in the Minecraft universe, even though he isn't real. The story of the cow level is one of the oldest and best myths in gaming. In the village map of the first Diablo, there were 3 cows standing close to each other. If you click them often enough, you get some funny quotes from your character. The legend goes that if you click even more, you are teleported to a world ruled by the Cow King.
Yep, that's a cow, all right.
That was the easiest method, but many more elaborate ways have been made up to find the cow level that didn't even exist. There were even some fake screenshots out there. In the end, Blizzard Entertainment liked the hoax so much, they actually included a cow level in both Diablo 2 and the more recent Diablo 3. Not all myths in video games are related to in-game phenomenons. According to old rumors, there were thousands or even millions of Atari game cartridges buried in the New Mexican desert. Supposedly, copies of the video game E.T. the Extraterrestrial were buried, and this remained the general consensus until 2014. The burial of these games was often dismissed as an urban legend, supported by news articles from September 1983 stating that trucks were filled with Atari stuff were dumped in the Alamo Gordo and a layer of concrete was dumped over it to seal the stuff. 30 years later, a documentary was made about the burial and the excavation. Only 1,300 cartridges were recovered, so we're pretty sure there weren't millions. The recovered cartridges were auctioned to raise money for a museum. The open world of Grand Theft Auto is very suitable for myths and urban legends. One of the biggest myths in the series has been about Bigfoot. This creature was supposed to be seen in the background of a photo inside the protagonist's house. This led to rumors about Bigfoot walking around in the open world of San Andreas. School kids started talking about it and searched the forests. Players never found him, but game studio Rockstar Games did make fun of the situation. Bigfoot was added to Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare 6 years after the release of San Andreas. And in GTA 5 there's also a Bigfoot, but he turned out to be a deranged man.
Make it stop, human! Outstanding.
Gamers who played the original Mortal Kombat in arcades became obsessed with a possible secret character called Ermac. The name was found in the game's secret menus and was placed right below the name of another unlockable character, Reptile. So that's reason enough to believe that Ermac was also supposed to be unlocked. Despite all the hard efforts, nobody ever unlocked him, simply because Ermac was short for error macros. This was simply a piece of code to prevent the game from crashing.
Test your might.
The creators of Mortal Kombat did like the hoax and added Ermac as an unlockable playable character to Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, while teasing the name in earlier games. Ermac was also playable in Mortal Kombat X and many other games in the series. That's how a myth actually became reality in the Mortal Kombat universe. And we end this list with Polybius. The arcade game was distributed in very limited numbers across the United States. Rumor has it that people who played the game got all kinds of health problems. Blackouts, seizures, headaches, and even a few suicides were reported, not long after playing Polybius. Was this arcade game a project from the CIA, or a way for the Russians to mind control the American youth? Who knows? Did you believe any of these gaming myths? Let us know in the comments. You can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and of course on YouTube.